A little while ago, I made a poll for my next video. Oh, everyone hates school. This video about all the things bad about school got delayed because of pressures from school. I walked back through those doors after summer ended. I went into school with high expectations, hoping that maybe this time it will be different. Maybe I treated school too harshly. But school never fails to disappoint. Now I've been in it for 1 week, all the problems are emerging, and now that I've had a little bit of recent experience, I am more than compelled to speak up about it. I have never really voiced my opinion that much outside of Draw a Stickman Epic 2, and I haven't made that many negative videos. That is, until today. School's been dragging me down like a ball and chain for years. I've been unable to pursue any of my interests or my dreams, and my upload schedule has tanked because of it and is mostly centered around it. Okay, yes, those words just came out of my mouth. I hate school that much. But that's not nearly potent or refined enough. Why don't I start making arguments and start explaining the things I hate from school in a non-comprehensive list? So I started making this video before I started school for the year, and it was mostly me absolutely tired out of my mind making a incohesive rant. Okay, well, it was cohesive. Thing is, I had no audio and only used text for it. That's irregular for my videos. Why would I do that? Well, it's because I wanted to filter out my voice being so angry at the school system and saying all these things. But now I don't really feel bad anymore. I just think that some of it had some poor judgment. Some of them may be slightly wrong or needed to be corrected. But I'm gonna show all these arguments that I wrote. Right out of the gate, school redacted 6 or 7 hours out of your day. Okay, that's not exactly a complete sentence yet. Oh, it's more than 6 or 7 hours. The first argument by me is that school takes up more time than you think it does. And there's a lot of text about this. Let's break it down. And school takes up more of your time while you're sitting on the bus. That's a rare argument, but then, I think it just gets kind of petty when it goes to, you could spend more or less time on the bus. Being on the bus, well, yes, it does take up your time. It's not like school. You can use your phone. If you can mind the bumpy ride, you can even get your homework done. It's not equivalent to school. And this problem you can't really fix short of giving every student their own car. And the time you get picked up doesn't necessarily correlate to when you wake up, because the first person may get picked up the earliest, but the fifth person might need to walk a mile to get to the bus stop. And while I absolutely agree that people should include bus travel times, especially if you also need to take it back for a round trip, it's going to vary wildly all over the place, and there's not a specific amount of time we could add to how much time school takes up. And what immediately follows up is preparation from school, which can also vary from person to person. However, I wouldn't say it varies as much as school pickup times. This goes on to argue, though, that no one wants to wake up any earlier because of how early they already wake up before the crack of dawn. And also says that going on the bus in the morning is as dark as a nightmare, which is obviously an objective statement. But as you know, I have been having some dreams lately. Is it as dark as a nightmare? Yeah, I think it is. Now, elaborating on this, if everyone wakes up at short notice to school starting, they won't have time to do anything but prepare for school, which is very logical. And, what's this?
This isn't like preparing to meet a friend. This is 5 days a week, getting treated like a weed, 7 hours of the equivalent of drinking weed, too tired to read, barely relieved by sleep, went for 180 tomorrow. You'll live this hell on repeat, buried in study shit.
Okay, that right there is the reason why I wanted to do it in text at first, is because, oh my god. I think it's safe to say we can just skip some of this. Next up is homework. Can't be too bad. Except that it takes up even more of your time. Now, one assignment by itself is absolutely nothing, but sometimes you can just be assigned too much homework that you either have to sacrifice sleep or fun. But here's the neat part. If you take different classes, you can get more or less homework. Introducing Google AI-powered reviews with a side of soullessness. The US doesn't have a nationwide curriculum, but rather the states decide. I have to admit that a lot of these arguments lack dimensional thinking. And with 50 states choosing what they want for the school system, there was bound to be some good choices out of the bunch. In my experience with school, I can only handle 4 homework classes at the same time. And if I have more than that, the grades for each class start going down. And when I say 4 classes, I really just hope I don't get more than 4 pieces of homework in one day. And while they usually don't assign multiple pieces of homework per day, they could have a test tomorrow that I need to study for in addition to their current homework. The reason I say this is to give some sort of baseline for what we'd be comparing to. And now we're going to look at some of the best case scenarios that high school students might be given. Doing some Google searches, we find that there's some states that have a low high school credit requirement. You can graduate with just 13 credits, and a credit being one entire year of you studying a class during a period. Many schools have 7 periods in a day. High school goes on for 4 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. The average amount of credits that a high school student needs in the United States is 20.4, which would mean that on average, you will need to have 5 of your 7 periods be classes. You'll need to have 5 classes per year. For me, I have had an average of 4.5. One semester I have 5 classes. One semester I have 4. I don't like the ones with 5 classes. Now looking at some of the low requirement states, we see that they would have an average of 3.25 credits per year, which that is not that bad. That is great. And yet, I still hate school. All of the arguments that you've seen I wrote a little while ago, but more specifically, before school started. And now, I have had some experience with school. I will have an educated opinion. I've been in school for 1 week, and now I'm going to tell you my story of what happened in my first week of school. And by the end of it, you'll know just how bad it is and how I personally feel about it. So because of the awkward school start times, we started halfway through the week, so we only had a few days. And these were mainly just orientation days. We weren't given any homework because the teachers. So what happened is that the teachers of my classes, they actually started to do some activities for me to meet all my classmates. Alright, the thing that I value more from school than learning is friends, connections, and talking to people. And, well, if you don't have friends, it is really awful. That goes without saying. And so, the first 2 days of school, they were great. But this was orientation. Of course they weren't going to give homework. So now we're going to skip past the 3-day weekend that I had after that. And this is what happened in my last 4 days of school. Alright, so my history class has a great teacher. They don't have regular due dates on assignments. Instead, you can submit them anytime before your next test or big project. And history class, well, history is also full of a bunch of opinions just like this video. I'm good at history, as a matter of fact, but that's not the focus of this video. My English teacher, My English teacher usually gives you the time to complete your homework in class. It's actually classwork unless you don't complete it. And they they semi-frequently assign actual homework, which sounds kind of easy. Well, here's the compromise. They have weekly quizzes that you have to study for every week, and you have to take one of these quizzes when it pops up. And there, yeah, you can, if you get a bad grade, you get a bad grade. But if you're like me, well, I'm able to memorize it. It's kind of skill, but kind of cheating the system. Then my algebra class is one of the tougher classes, so they regularly assign homework. They assign it like every day, and it's almost always due the next day, unless it's over the weekend when it's actually impossible to have it due then. And you get an automatic 0 for any that you don't turn in, which, considering that you have one day to do every single one, that's tough. But with algebra, you don't have to write many essays, you aren't critiqued on your grammar. And when you're solving math problems, you'll get a pretty straight answer. So then, is it that bad? Well, yes, because algebra homework is as long as every other work, except it's assigned once per day. It is kind of annoying, and yet I was going into this year thinking that there would be some redeeming qualities to school. I am currently in a dual enrollment. I spend half of my day in one school and half of my day in the next. So this next school, it has one class. Holy smokes! Okay, 3 days later. That's not a lie. 3 days just passed between the last voice line. I was completing all my school homework. And also, for one of my free times, I had to take a shower. I had no more time to make videos until today. I'm just gonna get this done. I can talk about my second school later because it is everything that regular school dreams to be. Alright, so starting Tuesday, I walked into school and introductions were still going on for 2 of my classes. And for some reason, I started to get anxiety about that. Why? Because I know it couldn't last forever. When is the work gonna start coming? I wanna start doing the work. You really shouldn't worry about a lack of work to do in school because they always have more. Wednesday, I started reading for my English class. For history, it just got out of the introduction, but they didn't give homework that day. And most of my classes, they're actually good. They have good teachers, and they value my time. Then, Thursday, well, I can't really remember anything because it's been 3 whole days since the weekend. However, that Thursday night, I started to notice one of the impacts of school. I need to wake up really early, and my alarm, once that goes off, I know that I can get no more sleep. Bye-bye. And that means, I have to control when I go to bed to get enough sleep. But something else I value, I think I said this earlier in the video, is that I value friends. I have many friends, including some on my Discord server. I may put that in the description. And I was talking to them. It was way better. It was really good compared to last year. And then I was talking to a fellow Drastic Man Epic 2 YouTuber. I don't want to say their name just for the sake of privacy. But they had made a little clip that they wanted to show me. But the thing is, I was getting ready for bed, and one of the things I didn't want to do was look at screens right before I went to bed. But, you know, they put some effort into it, and they wanted some feedback on how good it was. And so, I was getting ready for bed. I had to put the phone down. I'd have it face down, screen off, and I'd just listen to the audio. But then I realized the song that they used, it wasn't a song that they created. And to actually view the skit, I needed to watch the video. But I couldn't do that, because that would interfere with my sleep schedule. I had to get to bed, so that I had to wake up early tomorrow to go to school. I am better at doing homework than I was last year. But something that hasn't changed the sleep schedules. I couldn't give them feedback. I couldn't interact with them, do anything they wanted. I had to say, no, I can't watch this. I need to go to sleep because I have school tomorrow. And they said, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, what a great friend. Friend that I couldn't talk to. Because to participate in this thing that we call school, I had to rearrange my sleep schedule. I wanted to continue talking to that friend, but I couldn't, because if I woke up in the morning without sleep, I wouldn't be able to get anything done, not at school. And I would suffer on my homework too. That night, I cried myself to sleep and had a lucid nightmare.
Those kinds of struggles, they are
The worst thing about school.